Hi, I'm Dr. Erin Bell. I'm a family medicine physician in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Today, this video is to talk to you about stress management, mindfulness, how to live differently starting today. Take charge of your health. There are educational videos brought to you with the collaboration of Northeastern Ohio Medical University, the Partnership for Urban Health, the Cleveland Public Library, and the Cleveland Foundation. Take charge of your health videos are for educational purposes only and are not to be used for treatment or diagnosis of any medical condition. Please see your primary care physician for treatment and diagnosis of any medical condition. So 7 years ago, I awakened with severe chest pain and was rushed to the hospital. Before I left my home, I told my husband that I had loved them dearly and that I loved the kids and that to make sure they would take care of themselves if something would happen to me. I really felt that I was not going to make it home after that episode. After being admitted for a week, it was determined that I had a bleeding ulcer. And one of the things that the doctors that took care of me, as well as myself, we had decided that probably it was related to stress. And because I had stress, I had made some unhealthy lifestyle decisions. And so while I was in the hospital, everyone said, you need to reduce stress. You need to reduce stress. I had even said to myself, Erin, you need to reduce stress. And that's easier said than done. And I can recall telling many of my patients, just reduce stress, but never offered any suggestions. And the suggestions that I did offer, they really weren't realistic, like finding a new job. Sometimes that's easier said than done. And so when I was in the patient role, I said, you know what? From now on, if I tell someone to reduce stress, I'm going to give them some realistic ways to do it. And so one of the articles that I found working with my life coach was 7 habits of people who effectively manage stress. So this presentation is adapted from Mindfulness and Psychotherapy with Dr. Alicia Goldstein. So here are the 7 habits of people who effectively manage stress. First, they forgive themselves. They hold their emotions lightly. They practice compassion. They make peace with imperfection. They embrace vulnerability. They understand that all things must come and go. And they practice being curious. We'll go over each in detail. Forgiving ourselves gives us the opportunity to learn. So instead of getting upset with things that we perceive we have done wrong or mistakes that we perceive we have done, use them for opportunities to learn. How can I not repeat that again? Or if I repeat it, how can I change my response or reaction to it? When we start forgiving ourselves, then we open up the ability to invite people into our lives and invite the ability to start forgiving others. Because forgiveness is so much not about the other person, it's about us. To allow those people that we perceive who have done us wrong to no longer let them live in our head and to move on with life. For when we start forgiving ourselves, it facilitates forgiveness of others. We got to start holding our emotions lightly. I had a rough week this week. I had an honest conversation with a friend, and the tact that I used was not the best. But I was grateful for the emotions because where I was coming from with the conversation was a part of growth with me. So I was grateful for the emotion that I had. What I didn't like was how I actually said it. And so with handling the bad emotions gracefully, I was able to step back and apologize and say, I don't apologize for what I said. It needed to be said, but how I said it. And I took that as an opportunity to forgive myself and to allow that emotion and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be upset all day about it. I said it, I apologize, I need to move on. Life is not going to start and end on this day. Practice compassion, because compassion first starts at home. We need to be compassionate with ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves. And once we practice compassion with ourselves, then we're able to practice compassion with other people. Dr. Goldstein eloquently stated in this statement that the act of self-compassion or compassion is essential to healing. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we forgive ourselves, we are able to heal ourselves. And that way we can form connections with others. And when we are connected with other people, that is happiness. And that's all of us try to do as human beings, is to pursue happiness. Make peace with imperfection. After 40 plus years, I am perfectly imperfect and I am happy with my imperfections. I am happy with my imperfect body. I am happy with my imperfect shape. I am happy with my imperfect memory as I get older and the memory gets worse. But that allows me not to self-judge myself. I know that I am uniquely made. There is no other Aaron Bell, so I have to be perfect because it's only one of me. There is no other models of creation of me. And then once we realize that we're not perfect, no one is perfect. So we stop holding people up to a high standard or putting them up on a pedestal because we know no one is perfect. And the last thing that I learned with working with my life coach is go outside and observe imperfections in nature. Things that we think are so beautiful, like flowers, they're imperfectly made, and yet they're beautiful. And we're a part of nature, and we're fearfully and wonderfully created. So if we're a part of nature and we're imperfectly made, then guess what? We're beautiful as well. Embrace vulnerability. After I had that hospital admission, I had gone into a bubble and I had only shared with close family members that I got admitted, and that part of it was related to stress because I had this facade that everything was perfect. I had the perfect husband, I had the boy and girl, I had the dog, I'm a doctor, everything is perfect. But one way that I learned how to heal myself was becoming vulnerable and letting people know why I got admitted. I'm stressed. I suffer with depression. I suffer with anxiety. Sometimes I think I'm not the greatest wife or mom. Sometimes I think I'm not the greatest person in the world. Sometimes I'm not the greatest doctor. And being vulnerable does not mean you're weak. It means you're courageous. It means that you're strong. And what I found out is when I shared my vulnerability, other people became more comfortable in sharing their vulnerability and their things they felt were weak and things that they wanted to share. And what that did is I had the strongest connections with family, friends, patients, even with strangers, because I had started an email blog about it and people shared my story with other people, that I made connections with other people. So being vulnerable, if you want to be closer with others, be vulnerable. All things must come and go. We're born to die. The sun rises, the sun sets. Days come and go. And if we know that things must come and go, then we must stop and live in the moment. For that moment is gone in a second. That day is gone in 24 hours. The year is gone in 365 days. But appreciating the moment. For example, this week, my nurse asked, she said, well, Dr. Bell, why are you here? It's your telehealth day. You could be at home, calling your patients at home. And I said, you know what? Home is for my husband and kids, and then the office is for my patients and my staff. When I'm at home, I want to be present with my husband and children. I want to give them my undivided attention. And when I come to work, then I leave home at home, and I'm here for my patients and my staff. I want to be present in the moment. How many of us, when we go to bed, our mind is going all over the place? We can't settle down to go to sleep because we're thinking of 1,000 things. And that's because we have not lived in the moment during the day. So we allow bedtime to be the moment to relive everything that's happened during the whole entire day. So we have to slow down and live in the moment. That if we know that, okay, I need to go to the grocery store, take time to live in the moment and to create your grocery list. Not at 10 o'clock at night for the next day, but in that moment, take the time to stop whatever you're doing. If your kids need to ask you a question and you're busy, be vulnerable, be honest, and say, I'm busy right now. I can't give you my undivided attention, but if you give me a few moments, I'll be present with you and I'll be able to answer your question. Practice being curious. Return to the learning stage of life. Remember when we were children and we asked why and why and but why and why and why. We need to get back to that because being curious puts us back into that childlike time of our lives. We eliminate preconceived notions and we open up ourselves to learning. So you have these 7 habits, but how do you get to using them? How do you get to mindfulness? First step is get the gear. That's whatever you need to allow yourselves to get into that place of reducing stress. If exercise reduces stress, do you have the gear to exercise? For me, it was journaling. First, I started out with a journal and writing things. Since the pandemic, I started doing video journaling. Whatever gear that you need, aromatherapy, a diffuser, a quiet room, a quiet place, get your gear together. Then get started. It doesn't matter what day you start, you can start right now, even with this presentation. It's the beginning of getting started to mindfulness. And then what you do is you practice a lot. Those 7 habits, it took me years to at least be able to start using them. Am I a master of all of them? No. Some of them I mastered a whole lot better than others, but I still constantly practice every single day. Live differently, live mindfully. Now I'd like to take a few minutes just to do a brief mindfulness exercise with you to see how easy it is to do. You don't have to be a doctor or a therapist or anything to be able to live mindfully. So I'd like for you to close your eyes. Get yourself comfortable in your seat. You can sit on the floor, you can lie down, you can stand up, whatever makes you comfortable, because this is for you. Keep your eyes closed and deep breathe in and out. Take a deep breath in and feel your lungs fill with air. Let that breath out. Notice how your chest moves up and down. Relax your neck. Allow it to sway back and forth like trees in the breeze. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms. Relax your feet. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Just notice the beauty of your body, how it moves and how it relaxes. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. Notice all the sounds around you. Notice if you feel cold or hot. Do you feel anything different about you? Do you hear your family or pets or noise in the background? Appreciate that noise. Allow your breath to become slower as you take deeper breaths in and out. And just appreciate all that is around you. And slowly start to feel yourself become more aware of my voice. And when you're ready, open up your eyes. You have taken the first step to living differently and living mindfully. Thank you and have a great day.